When you start building AI systems, especially anything involving agents or orchestration, you'll notice a few terms showing up again and again: tools, skills, and MCP. At first, they all seem related, almost interchangeable. But as you go deeper, you realize they're actually describing very different layers of the system. And once you see that clearly, a lot of design decisions start making more sense. Hello everyone, welcome back to Logical Lenses. In this video, we are going to build a clean mental model for how these pieces fit together. So let's get started. Let's begin from the ground level. Imagine your system needs to actually do something. Maybe create a ticket, fetch some data, or search through documents. At this level, what you have are tools. A tool is simply a capability, a function, an API, a database query, something like get user details, create ticket, or search documents. It doesn't decide anything. It doesn't understand intent. It just performs an action when called. Now, if you look at how humans think about problems, we don't think in terms of individual functions. We think in terms of tasks. Resolve an issue, answer a question, update a system. And this is where skills come in. A skill is a higher level capability. It brings together one or more tools and wraps them in a bit of structure. So instead of exposing many small building blocks, we expose something more meaningful, something closer to the intent. And this shift from tools to skills is what starts making systems feel more aligned with how users actually think. Now let's introduce something newer into the picture: the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. At first glance, it might feel like this belongs in the same category, but MCP plays a very different role. It's not a capability, it's not a task, it's a protocol, a standardized way for models to interact with external systems. It defines how tools are described, how context is shared, and how execution happens. So if tools are what your systems can do, and skills are how you organize those capabilities, the MCP is simply how everything connects together. Once you see these layers separately, the overall architecture becomes much clearer. A user comes in with a request. The system first understands intent and maps it to a skill. That skill defines what needs to happen. Then, based on that, the system decides how to execute it. This could be a simple sequence or something more dynamic. And finally, tools are invoked to actually perform the actions. Whether those tools are exposed directly or through MCP doesn't fundamentally change this flow, because MCP is about access, not decision making. Let's take a simple example. Imagine a personal AI assistant and you ask it, set up a call with Rahul tomorrow evening. It sounds like one simple request, but underneath there are tools like Calendar API, Availability Checker, Messaging API, and each tool does one thing. Now the system doesn't treat this as one step. It maps this to a skill, that is schedule meeting. And that one skill expands into multiple actions, that is checks Rahul availability, find a common time, block the calendar, send the invite. Now what you see is one intent is mapped to multiple coordinated steps. Now where does Model Context Protocol fit in? Without MCP, each tool might be exposed differently. Different formats, different ways to call them, different context passed each time. With MCP, all tools follow a standard structure. They describe what they do, what inputs they need, and how they return results in a consistent way. So the models doesn't have to learn every tool separately. It interacts with all of them in the same way. So the flow becomes clear. User request is mapped to skill, then skill is mapped to multiple tools, and those tools have a standardized representation via MCP. And the key idea is this: a skill turns one intent into many coordinated steps, tools execute those steps, and MCP makes all tools look and behave consistently. Once these are clear, designing AI systems start to feel a lot less messy and a lot more structured. Hope you like the comparison, and see you in the next one.